So yeah, I grew up in a time where we went to those what you call house churches. You know, where you might pull up to somebody's house and that's where the service was being held at for the night. That's what I grew up in. There was excitement there in those places. But what I was about to see on this Sunday was not like any other Sunday I had ever witnessed before in my life. So, at this one house that I used to go to, I used to see this man that was putting his hands up in the air and he was praising God. But when he was putting his hands up in the air, there was a ceiling fan there, and that man was sticking his hands in that ceiling fan. It was just like he could not feel it. Now, that's the only memory that I have from back then. And besides sitting in front of the TV while your grandma and them got Benny Hinn and them playing on the TV and everything. And so that's what I grew up in. So starting to go to church, I already knew that it couldn't be a church that didn't have some excitement. I believe they call it Pentecostal. I don't really deal with that. I just with what the name of it is or whatever, but you all know what I'm talking about. So I go to this church, and again, the name of that church is Power, Praise, and Deliverance. So I go there on this particular day, and this day happened to be Easter. The pastor got up, he said a few words, and he say, the Spirit directed him to hand the service over to his sister. I said, okay. So he hands it over to his sister, and I learned that his sister is a prophet. So then she started calling names. When she started calling names, I was like, uh-oh, which means somebody was going to get a prophecy, something like that. All of those things like that were very exciting to me going to church. So the pastor's son is on the drums. And I recall him being the first person she called, but he was like, maybe like around the age of 12, 13 years old or whatever. She called him from over off the drum. And he was like, who, me? And she was like, yeah, you come on over here. That which is her nephew. So she called him over. He come over off the drums. He got men standing around him, to back him up or whatever. And he like looking at the men. He looking at the men that's standing around him, and he like, I don't know what y'all standing around me for, because a player ain't going down. The pastor's son's words. A player ain't going down. So she said some words to him, and about how his life is going to go later on in life or whatever. And she back up off of him, and she do something where like she put her hand out in front of her and she blow. When she blows wind on him, it's like his legs like swipe from up under him. So he fall down on the ground, but he don't, he ain't laid out or nothing. He's sitting down on the ground, and he like dropped his head low and like, I can't believe I'm down here on this ground. So after a while, he get up and he like shake it off. And she say some more words to him, and she walked up to him and touched him up under his neck. And he went back down on the ground again. And this time when he went on the ground, he could not get up. So I'm like, now I done seen this stuff on TV before, but I ain't never seen it in real life, like up front and close. So, and I'm knowing, she started with him. This boy 12, 13 years old. He ain't trying to be on the ground in front of all these other little girls in his church and stuff. So I'm like, okay, then. She called a couple of other people up. And then the next thing she do is she called me. I'm having a good time looking around and see what else what's going on with everybody else. But the last person I expected her to call was me. So I go up to the front and I'm standing there. And she come to me and she say, through your walk with Christ, your auntie's life is going to be changed. So I'm just like, okay, whatever that means, because, I'm thinking in the sense of now and what I'm seeing right now or whatever. But she then back up off of me and she do the same thing to me, where she touched me up under my neck and it was like everything just like disappeared from my body. It was like just a weakness came over. And she backed up and she did that same hand movement and blew on me. And when she blew on me, that was the last thing I remembered. When I woke up, I didn't know anything that had happened after that point. So I say about 2 weeks later, it could have been just a week. There's rehearsal for the youth. So I'm taking my kids there, and me and one of the parents, while the kids singing in the choir or whatever, me and one of the parents sitting out in front of the church, just sitting there talking. And she turned around and she asked me, she say, well, who is it you think put roots on you? I turned around and looked at her because even though I said in the previous story, I had told some people, but I told people back from where I came from, my hometown, not the people here in Orlando. So when she asked me that, I was surprised. I say, how do you know somebody put roots on you? She said, well, you didn't hear when the prophet was here. I said, no, I didn't hear her. She said, well, while you was laying on the ground, she said, Pastor, her talking to her brother, I see candles lit all the way around her, meaning the spirit of witchcraft. And I see God putting them out one by one. Now, when she said that, I just stood up on the stoop and started screaming. I asked her, are you serious that she said that? And she said, I'm serious. And at the time she's telling me this, another one of the ladies from the church, she walking from the store that's across the street. She said, okay, when she come over here, we gonna ask her so she can tell you what was said. She came up the stairs and she say, tell her what the prophet said when she was down on that ground. But see, the person who came up the stairs knew me from where we came from. Because actually, me and her mom had dated the same guy. And she didn't say what she said. She called the guy's name and she said, "Now, why he put roots on you?" And then she proceeded to tell me. She said she seen candles lit all around you, meaning the spirit of witchcraft. And she called the guy's name again. Ain't nobody but him did it. Hmm. So for me, this was my confirmation that I had told nobody there, not even this lady, because she definitely wasn't from where I was from. She was from that place, but she was far removed. She had been moved away from there years and years ago, and so did I. So for me, this was my confirmation that I had been saying it to people, but I was so embarrassed to even be saying it because in my upbringing, I wasn't supposed to believe that. That wasn't supposed to be happening to me. It wasn't supposed to be able to happen to me. But it put me in a place to start to see things a little bit different than what I had been seeing them. I went home that day and I still could not believe what I had heard with my ears. But I did believe it because I had been saying it already. And at this point, I didn't know whether this thing was over with, but everything in me was holding on to the thought of this is coming to an end. Because now at this point, my battle been going on probably about 6 years. And there was a time when it was silence, no problems, nothing happening at all. But then I got pregnant again, and bam, it was back. And this time, I'm sitting in the doctor's office. And everything was fine when I went to the doctor's office. But it was like while I was there, like I just started feeling really, really weird. And all of a sudden we were called back into the doctor's office. And on this day, it's me and one of my daughters at the doctor's office together. It's like when they called me back, it's like the closer the doctor came to the room, the more scared I feel, the more fear I feel for who was about to walk through that door. And when that doctor walked through that door, it was almost like he was the boogeyman or something. Because I can remember myself like laying back and was like, oh God, don't come close to me. Don't come close to me. Don't come close to me. And I start saying to my daughter, don't let him touch me. And it was like I felt like I'm here, but I ain't here. But this went on for so long that the doctor say, we're going to have to send her to the hospital. So from the doctor's office that day, they sent me to the hospital. And this is one of the things that I found out later. That after being there that whole entire day, I never looked at the paperwork after I left there that day. And one day I went back and looked at that paperwork. And on that paperwork, they labeled me as schizophrenic. Now, I had never heard of that a day in my life. Not me. Never heard of that before. But I know I didn't feel like I was that. But then what does that feel like? So did that mean that I was going to continue to have these kinds of episodes? So I went home that day. And I had some very, very long days because the days started back over again. No sleeping. Didn't like the smell of food. Just wanted people to be around me. Just people to be close to me. And then my husband got called away for his job. So now I'm clinging on to my kids like no tomorrow. So things got so bad while my husband was out of town that he ended up having to come back from working the storms and stuff. And when he came back, it was like whatever was going on was getting worse. I was on no medications, no nothing. But then, shortly after he got there, shortly before he got there, I woke up this one morning and in my mouth, there is a clot. It's just big and huge, and you can look all over my pillows and everything, where you can just see it looked like I had been in a fight with somebody in my bed. And I literally spit it out and dropped it on the bed. And I couldn't figure out why is this in my mouth. So I got a sandwich bag and I took that thing to the emergency room. And they didn't have an explanation as to why that was happening. I remember them saying something along the lines of like I could have been coughing or something in my sleep or whatever, but no real explanation. But a lot of stuff is happening to me at this time. Not long after that, I had to be induced, which is something I'd never been through before. So I asked the nurse, can you explain this to me like I'm a kindergartner, because I have never had to go through this process before. And I think if I say to someone to explain it to me like I'm a kindergartner because I don't understand, like I want to know as many as details as you can give me, like what's going to happen. Well, she left out one major part of this story, because the one thing she didn't tell me was that if you get induced, your contractions are like no other contractions you've ever had before. And with all my other kids that I had given birth to, I didn't use pain meds. I did it natural. So I'm going in thinking, okay, I wasn't expecting this today, but here we go. It was the worst contractions I have ever felt in my life. And the nurse was so agitated with me that she was literally screaming and begging me to take the pain meds. So after she came in and she said it, I don't know how many times, I started yelling at her, just give it to me. Just give it to me. And she said it's just going to be something that's going to take the edge off of your pain. And I said, okay, just give it to me. I'm frustrated at her now. She put that medicine in that IV, and I went off into like I was falling down this long hallway. The hallway was white, but on top of me while I'm falling is the number 6 just coming out of every place, just boom, boom, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, just keep falling on top of me. And they were falling towards me, but not falling on me. And I remember in that moment feeling that if one of these number 6 hit me, that it was going to be the end. So now I'm in this battle in my mind of something where I can't wake up, because remember, prior to this, I'm getting no sleep. She just gave me a dose of something that literally is putting me to sleep, in a sleep that I've been fighting for months at this time. So now I'm dodging these 6s, but I'm talking out loud at the same time while this is happening to me. And all I can hear the nurses start to do is start to scramble. Oh no, she's having a bad reaction to the medicine. So now, after they get that situation calmed down, I don't even know how they calmed it down in the first place, because I was in so much pain and having that at the same time. The next thing I know, the nurse is leaving out of the room. And I'm trying to tell her that the baby is about to come. And I guess we so agitated with each other that she does not listen to me. She said, I just checked you and you were only 5 centimeters. Well, anybody know that you have multiple births, you can go to from 4 to 10 in seconds. She walked out of the room just like she didn't hear me. And she got in the hallway and poured herself a cup of coffee. And the next thing she heard was my husband saying, "The baby is out." She on the bed. Rightfully so. That nurse wasted that cup of coffee right on the front of herself and came back in there. And baby was out. Now, at this point, I am so traumatized from what all I done been through at this hospital. There is no way that I could stay here. I was there and it was like I was trapped in some place and I just couldn't stay there. I just needed to go. I think I was there for about 6 hours and I checked myself out. I gotta go home. She said, "You know you can't take the baby home." And it was the first time that I was ever fine with saying, "That's fine. She can stay here. I'll be back to check on her. I'll come back and feed her." I kept going back and forth to the hospital, but I couldn't stay there. So I came home. And I was so ready because I said to myself, "Ooh, it's going to be over now because I done had the baby again." Hmm. But that ain't what happened. I came home and I thought for surely this time I got it. But nope. My husband's still getting up, trying to go to work every single morning, having pep talks. "Shauna, you gotta pull it together. You gotta pull it together." Then I started reaching out to other people that I had never reached out to before because I always stayed by myself. So I started reaching out. I reached out to some family and I was turned down. And at first, my feelings was hurt. But looking back on it now, I don't think any of them could have handled what was going on with me at the time. So everybody except for 2 people turned me down. One showed up was my aunt. She came and I think she stayed for as long as that she could. And she said that she would leave and come back, and she never came back. So I got another family member that came there. And then these episodes would happen where I would be like in a corner. And it would be mostly like if I smelled smoke or something like that. But I had this one that was there with me this time that she didn't feed into or give me anything extra. She was more so there. I needed her there more so to be a support for my kids while my husband was at work and, stuff like that. But she came along with something else. Every time these episodes would happen, there was a prayer that this woman had in the inside of her belly that came up like no other. That when whatever that thing was acting out on the inside of me, when she spoke, that thing had to be still. And then on the other side of me, that first baby girl that I had, that I saw the flames in her eyes, was the one that sat down next to me and now started chanting, God is the truth. The devil is a liar. And this is where I'm going to end my story at tonight. Ooh, thank you all for being here, coming through and hearing me out. Those of you who know, I don't usually look in the chat while I'm telling my story because I'm trying to go through my thought process without losing my train of thought. But hey, y'all, thank y'all again for being here. I don't see any questions in the chat. I see everybody. Hey, Pretty Brown, how you doing tonight? Peach Tea, how are you? Um, I answer questions and all of that good stuff. If anybody has any when I come through and doing my stories or whatever. But I'm just going to say over here, with Life with Tashana, we are the high class gardeners over here, and that just means we grow food. It doesn't matter how much food, long as you're growing some food. And what qualifies us as being high class is because we don't mess with no bugs and no worms. And we got the husband for that. And we don't spray that funny stuff on ourselves. But most important is, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. Hey Kelly, how you doing? Got me on the edge of my chair. Oh, I really listen. Kelly, I literally be telling the story like I see them in my head, and there are so many things that happen in between these stories that after I tell them, then I'll be like, oh my God, I missed that part right there. But I can always backtrack in one of the stories because I definitely just caught on that like I missed a key. I missed the key part of a lot of this stuff that's going on. But I'm trying to make sure like I hit like the important things, like the things that they labeled me with and everything that I've never, you know, I'll get a testimonial way in a heartbeat, but I could tell it 1,000 times over. But um, the things that I was labeled with, never having to be medicated for those things, and not saying that um anything is against that, but that has been my testimony, that I've never been medicated for any of those things. Um and I'll just have to say, to God be the glory that I haven't had to, go through any of that. I didn't even believe it. I'm worried about my garden. It is freezing here. Yeah, it is cold here. I don't know if you hear my little I got my little heater running tonight, but you know what I be saying is we here in Florida, and as soon as it hit 50, 60 degrees, we over here hollering about it's cold as I don't know what. But I think over here we might be in the 40s tonight. So um praying we don't lose power like 2021. I have weather PTSD. Ooh. Yeah, that I can't even imagine with power going out and no heat at the same time. But I know, what we did, Kelly, and I don't know, this may be for somebody who don't know how to have survival in those times or whatever. But I remember one year we was, living in this real old house, but my husband put like a hook, like I guess it's like a hook what you can twist around, but he twisted it into the ceiling, and then I put some string onto a blanket, and he hung the blanket up to the ceiling and let it drape down like over the top of the bed, and like me and all the kids and him, we all got up under that and stayed up under, and it kept us warm. It's like everybody's body heat is up under that one place, and then you know keep them warm. So I don't know who that's for tonight, but voila, there's one for you to keep you warm, just in case you don't have power to keep yourself warm. Get all cozy together and get all your blankets and everything. Falling out the bushes just tonight. Just wanted to let you know there is healing in your testimony, healing for others. Thank you very much, Just Shell, for saying that. And that's absolutely why I'm telling my stories, because I know that if it happened to me, there is somebody else that's is happening to, and they need to hear somebody else's encouragement that there's healing. Absolutely. So, and I don't want to take away from anything where anybody has had to have medicines and things before, but I'm not against that. I've been told that actually a whole bunch of times, but it's in the 20s here. Ooh, yeah. So I ain't got nothing to complain about, Cat. Not with the 20s. No, ma'am. Yeah, 29 degrees here in outside of Baltimore. All righty then. Yes. I got family there too. Ooh, you giving me the chills just even thinking about that kind of weather. But again, if you all don't have any, if you can try and grow something, whatever it may be, shortages will come up pretty soon. And point blank period, anything you grow in your yard is 10 times better than anything you can get from the store. Plus, you know what's in it, what's on it, and so forth and so on. It is 57 in Tampa, Florida. Well, you neighbors with me, Maritza. So yeah, we about the last I thought it said was 49, but again too, I ain't too far into all the weather and everything. So I'm right here next door to you. So you might be right on it, Maritza. But over here we here in Florida. you start feeling like it's about to snow over here when you used to these warm temperatures over here. So my aloe plant is drying out. I have to keep watering it. Ooh, Marissa, I got aloe plants, but I have them outside. I I water them things never rarely, and they grow just as big and pretty. Always, we just go out there and cut little pieces off of them, and they just keep on multiplying over and over and over again. I like to put them up under the windows and stuff, so just in case somebody want to walk over that way, they good for poking. But yeah, I didn't have anything. When it rains, I leave it in the rain, in the rainwater. Oh, okay then. So it's like you keep it as like a house plant or something like that. Aloe is really good to have. Like we keep it everywhere. We use it for hair, rubbing it on your face. We use it. My kids used to. They used to make this drink. Just even thinking about it, I can't do it. They drank it. Ooh. It's outside my porch. Oh, okay then. Yeah, I put mine right into the ground and let them do what they do right there. I ain't one of those fancy farmers where everything is all nice, and I be trying to do things where I just use whatever I already got together here going on. So but yeah, I like to use it on my hair skin and use it on my dogs. Oh yeah. I love all those things right there. Yes, goodness. Um, but yeah, I other than that, I'll come on here to share what the things that I've been through, because I know there's other people out here in this world going through some of the things that I'm going through. And I know if I didn't expect it to happen to me, I know it's a lot of people that didn't expect it to be happening to them. But like I said, there is healing. And guess what else? What the devil meant for bad, God turned it around for my good. Cheese. So, again, I like to thank you all for coming over here and spending your time with me, because you could have been anywhere else but over here listening to my story. So I hope it added something to your life. And if it didn't, like, share, and subscribe. And when you share with somebody, maybe it's who it's supposed to get to. Until next time, I shall see you all in the next episode of Be Careful of What You Invite In. Good night.